Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I want to welcome everybody to the MS&Me Radio Network. You can connect with us on msme.airtime.pro. And my name is Kelly Alderton. I'm a wife, mom, a health coach, an entrepreneur, and an author. My book, Waking Up from MS, My Journey to Health, Healing, and Living Symptom-Free is on Amazon, and it details my almost 30-year journey living with and beating MS. And I'm thrilled to be a part of this broadcasting network because we can come together as a group and help each other, give information, share our stories. And this is available 24/7 around the globe. So you can plug in to my call. Will be every Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, and then within 24 hours it will be up on YouTube for you to check out at your convenience. Today I am so thrilled to be interviewing my new friend Andy McKenna from Scotland, and I've been following Andy for a while now, and his story is not only inspiring and encouraging, but it really shows the fortitude that you need to have to not only deal with MS, but the fortitude to say you're going to do things in your own way, which is not often, people don't want us to follow our own path. They want us to follow the MS medical side of things when dealing with our MS. And so, Andy, welcome to the broadcast today.
Thank you for inviting me along, Kelly, and after an introduction like that, I hope I don't let your listeners down.
I don't think so, Andy. I just know you're going to be such an inspiration and have such great information for everyone. I think it's just going to be a benefit as a whole. And Andy, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what your story is, and then we'll delve more into everything about the MS.
Okay, sounds great. So I am 47 years old. I'm a Scotsman, as you might tell from the accent, living in the beautiful Scottish borders village of Clovenfords. And I am also a mountain bike tour operator. I've been running mountain bike tours throughout this beautiful country since 2008, which ironically, my diagnosis of MS came shortly before that. And I would say latterly in the last 3 years, I've very much tuned into managing my condition in a more holistic manner. I've never actually resorted to the medication that the doctors have tried to prescribe to me. Apart from one incident a few years ago where I woke up, I had a big trip ahead of me. This was when I was still acting as a mountain bike guide. Now I've become more of a kind of underpaid administrator, and I've got a team of fantastic guys looking after all the bike tours. But when I was still guiding, I woke up one morning and my legs gave way, and I could not get up from the ground, and there was nobody there to call or shout out. And I lay there for quite some time. And I took a trip to the hospital once I got my legs working again, and the doctor, who I'm very fond of, my neurologist, suggested that this was really the time now that I had to stop ignoring his advice and start the disease-modifying drugs. And I did go on to a course of exceptionally strong steroids to try and control the inflammation, which I believe to some extent did give me my legs back. But sure. I have subsequently, since at that point I was asked to, really consider my mobility and my future mobility, and go down the route of the drugs. And when I asked the simple question of what the benefits would be, the answer was just not categorical enough. It wasn't definitive enough that these drugs could improve my life and give any more certainty to symptom control. So I really immersed myself in all of the wonderful information that's out there, from the Swank Foundation and from Overcoming MS. That was my starting point. And I decided at that point that I was not going to get involved with the drugs if I could possibly avoid it. And I have to be honest, this is very fresh and very recent, just 1 week ago. So for 2 years, I've not had that symptom of basically a lightning bolt through the hip, up the tailbone, down the leg, and the sensation of the legs giving way. I've not had that for 2 years, and then it came back just momentarily when I was filling a kettle full of water last week. And part of me wanted to panic and think, this is it again, but I didn't. I had a momentary panic, but I sat down, I meditated, I crawled up the stairs, I ran a hot bath, put some good music on and relaxed for half an hour in the bath. I went to bed, I rested, and I got my symptoms back under control again. So I suppose the moral of that story is, who's to say that I really needed to get those steroids several years ago, those steroids that made me very, very unwell on a lot of levels. And who's to say that, I recognize that some of the triggers were my own mistake. I let stress build up. I was trying to do too much, and I wasn't as rigorous with my regime as I should be. So I think there's lessons in the bad and the good things that happen to us, and I think we can control a lot of our symptoms.
I agree. And Andy, let's talk about a few of the points there, because anybody who listened to my broadcast know that I'm totally anti-disease modifying therapies on every level, because we have to understand we weren't born with MS. Yeah. Something is off in our body and we need to fix it. A DMD is only going to suppress our immune system, hurt our body. It's going to open us up for all kinds of other diseases and infections. And not only can it progress our disease, which I've seen many, many times since 2001, since I've been doing things the holistic way, I've seen it progress plenty of people's MS, but I've also we have on the spectrum too that they can kill you. So we have to be so mindful of that. I also like when you're talking about listening to your body. When you need to rest, you have to rest. And if you're starting to have some symptomology, is it because of stress? We have to be mindful of what's going on in our bodies. And I like that you said, I'm not going to freak out, because we do have people that will get in a panic if something is tingly or twitchy and they think they're going to have a full-blown flare-up or exacerbation. And I like how you just kind of, reeled it in and say, okay, wait, I'm not going to freak out. Let's rest. Let's treat my body properly and then get back at it. What do you do to really relieve your stress, Andy? Because I imagine, so the mountain biking, that is pretty hardcore. I mean, you must be in good shape as far as, your legs are out there pumping, your arms, you know what I mean, cardiovascularly. Yeah. How are you dealing with stress levels and maybe even stress on your body from mountain biking? Does that come into account at all while dealing with this?
Absolutely, that is a great question, and it's one that's taken me. It's taken me quite a long time to understand fully what's going on, because I assumed that stress was just the kind of mental stress, the pressure of work type stress, and that is vital to understand and deal with that. But stress comes from the mountain bike is stressful from several different angles. you've got adrenaline coursing through your veins and through your body. That is a stressor. I now recognise that maybe I'm having a good day, and what I mean by a good day is that my balance is reasonable, my legs are working fairly symmetrically, I may not have proper grip, but my balance is okay, and I feel good, and I can climb, and that is amazing. That feeling of being able to get the signals into those muscles to do what you want to do is phenomenal. But then you get to those descents, and I maybe don't do the sort of technical level of descending that I used to, because I can't necessarily hold the line that I used to, because I don't have proper grip or full balance. So I just realised that the risk level is too high. So, but I still like to push myself. And sometimes when I think I've got things under control and I get into a particular hairy situation, the tremors might come on really bad. The vertigo might become an issue. And that's because of all of that adrenaline. So I just have to recognise, okay, I'm feeling a bit symptomatic, ease back, stop, take a breath. Everybody that knows me knows my situation and knows the challenges, so I don't have the same peer pressure. Removing yourself from situations where you're having to maintain some level of performance or maintain some kind of expectation in other people's eyes. I don't do any of that stuff. The moment that my wife and I kind of told the world that this was going on was a massive unburdening. So that's one layer of stress, is just being honest, recognizing some of the triggers. In terms of, how do I manage it? I just remove myself from the situation. That might just mean take 5 minutes, put my face and my wrists in a cold stream or a burn, as we say in Scotland, a small river, just to cool down, just to catch my breath, and then it all comes back together. And if it doesn't come back together, I just remove myself from that situation. And that might mean that occasionally I have to walk off the hill. But rather than beating myself up about the things that I can't do, I take pleasure from the fact that of the things that I can do, and I will do again. And for me, using the bike as a tool to force myself to improve my balance, to improve my cardiovascular, and just to be outside in the sun is an incredible tool. So instead of looking at, I used to be this really gnarly, mountain biker, now I'm just a pretty solid mountain biker, and a lot of people would say to me, I can't believe you're still doing this, or that you've got MS. But that's because they're seeing me having a great day. There are days when I'm maybe 3 out of 10 where I still go pedal my bike, but I don't want any company, because I don't want anyone to see this shaky guy. But those days are very, very few and far between compared to the good days.
I love that, Andy, and you listen to your body, and when you can't push yourself, or like you said, you need to take a little break, cool off. We know how that heat can have a huge effect on us. But I love your mindset. You have more good days than bad days, and you're really keeping it in perspective. And I love that, because everything you're saying just makes me visually think about you, and you're really on this journey, this path to healing. And I love that, because it's going to be an inspiration to others. I like how you said, you're a strong mountain biker now. You're not trying to be the best, but you're a strong mountain biker. And I love that you're not letting MS stop you, because a lot of people, I get it. We understand. Andy understands. I understand what you could be going through with the numbness and the tingling and things like that. But it's really about a choice of not letting it take over your life. And you're going to figure out a way to do the things that you enjoy. You're going to figure out a way to do the things that you're passionate about. Because honestly, just like mountain biking is at your core, Andy, if you stopped and let MS take over, what does that mean for your own journey to health and happiness?
Yes, absolutely. I honestly think that if we continue at whatever level, even I accept that the point that I'm at in terms of functionality, it may be the most challenging or limited point physically that I've been at in this journey historically, if I look at it over a 10-year period. But what I'm seeing more and more and more is the physical and mental benefit from just not actually giving in or giving up. I think that if we stop using our bodies, if we stop being active, if we stop believing that our bodies have the capacity to heal, I think if we stop that belief, then I think I say it in my documentary, you might as well chuck it.
Yep.
Because we really are our biggest medicine ourselves. Our attitude is all the cliches. I feel like a walking cliche half the time, but I honestly think that your state of mind. I could easily, with my symptom flare up the other day, I could easily get into a panic and just phone the hospital, but I didn't. And I thought, it's not irresponsible. I'm not doing irreparable damage that some kind of drug that they're going to give me is going to arrest. I don't believe it. I actually don't believe it. And I actually believe by removing myself from the situation, having a bath, putting on some music, going to bed, and just trying to de-stress. And I could actually feel it, and I drank lots and lots and lots of water, and I believe that the symptoms reduced. And as the symptoms reduced, the stress levels get lower, and it creates a positive reinforcement. And it's the same with exercise and mountain biking for me. If I was to give up, I'm 47, I've been mountain biking since 1986. That's kind of who I am.
Right.
I've built up a business around it. And it's whether or not I can do it at the same level or not, it's completely irrelevant. It's just the ability to get out there, do that, whether it's on my own, whether it's with friends, whether it's changing the way I do things, being more mindful about where my energy levels are at and responding to that, or just being in company that understands the kind of roller coaster ride that is MS, and just plan accordingly. I think whether it's mountain biking or whatever it is that's your passion, you just have to try and keep that contact, keep that touch point with whatever it is that drives you. And being active, I definitely know that if I give in to symptoms and I don't ride my bike for several days, it feels harder than
Sure.
it did if I'm trying to ride my bike every day, and I'm trying to do video blogs about that experience, because it's a kind of subtle form of peer pressure. Everybody that's now tuned into the Stoked on MS campaign, they want to see me ride my bike every day. And if I'm not riding my bike, they want to know why.
Right.
So it's a mutually reinforcing peer pressure tool. And it's a great way of creating awareness. The amount of people that didn't know what MS looked like, felt like, now have an appreciation. The amount of people that have reached out that have MS and are looking for alternatives to the DMDs. Believe that here's the biggest cliche of them all. I thought I was a reasonably decent human being. I'd say that my life has improved tenfold now that I've got MS, and I've realised the potential between myself and my wife, and the potential to actually beat this thing and steer a course through it. It's been one of the most life-affirming experiences, ironically, that I've ever had.
I love that you just said that, Andy, because isn't it funny when we have one of the things that should be the greatest challenges to our life, and I have no doubt that you will beat MS just like I'm beating MS, but the people that we've been able to help, the journey that gets put in front of us, that's how I found my purpose, is through MS. Just you're, doing your mountain biking, but you're finding another avenue that you're really paying it forward to other people. And I think that's something also to be mindful for to really be helping other people. You're so much about sharing information. You want people to get better. And I feel like that almost takes on its own life, like we have to do more to help people. Andy, I want you to talk a little bit about This Way Up, your documentary, because I know we have people that are going to want to inquire about having screenings throughout the globe. Can you talk to us a little bit about the documentary?
Absolutely. So This Way Up is a pretty honest story about me and my wife and my relationship with this beautiful country that we inhabit, and the need to continue riding bikes and getting in amongst the mountains and glens and the beautiful places, and to continue living and adventuring with my wife and one of my closest friends, Andy McKenna. It's his first ever film. It's the first time he's even attempted to do any filming, and we're pretty proud of we didn't know what we would end up with, but we've created this 25-minute documentary that's now organically growing arms and legs, and lovely people all over the world want to screen it. If they visit my website, stokedonms.org.uk, they can find out a little bit about it, see a trailer, see why I did it and what I'm going to do with all the donations and the fundraising activity around it. And there's various links to other parts of the Stoked on MS campaign. I have been humbled every day. In fact, I'm humbled and blown away by the feedback from people that have either seen it or who have volunteered to screen it. It screened in Denver, Colorado last night.
Yes.
It's been selected to play at the Vancouver International Mountain Festival, and they have asked to take it on tour, which is incredible. I've got the Chief Medical Officer of Scottish Government coming out to have a meeting with me. He's seen the trailer and he wants to talk to me about health messages for Scotland and health promotion.
Wow.
That to me feels like we've inadvertently done something quite good. So I'm pleased.
Wow, Andy, and your documentary, I know we're working on actually setting up a screening here in the Chicagoland area, and I hope a lot of people will start to reach out because that message is so important, and it's a message of hope and not giving up and living your purpose and finding your purpose. I mean, it's just, there's so much great information in it, and I cannot say that strongly enough that I believe everybody needs to get plugged into that. And I love that everything is going to a worthwhile cause. We often see a lot of money goes into, things for drug therapy, and not enough people are talking about natural ways of healing. And so I'm so glad that you're plugged into really getting donations into areas that we need it to help deal with MS in a more natural way. Andy, now if people, you said they can go on to stokedonms.org. They can also reach out to you on Facebook as well, correct, on Stoked on MS?
Yeah, absolutely. The main reason for mentioning the website is we've been amazed by the reaction to the documentary. And people want to know, when is it going online? When can everybody see it, and so on. So ironically, when I had a bit of a I had a few days where I just needed to rest, and I took my laptop to bed. I'd overdone it. I just completely overdone it on every level, and I was paying the price. So I detuned and I built a website. And stokedonms.org.uk is basically the landing page for absolutely everything to do with This Way Up and the Stoked on MS campaign, And the Facebook group, we've got a members-only Facebook group that would love you to join. And that's just a place where people, we've kept it closed because it's just a space where people can come and be honest about their situation. It's a place where we, share lots of knowledge, information. It started off as a place for my wife, Anila, and I just to let off steam and vent, and then it became an information exchange about research, and it's primarily aimed at people that want to stay active whilst living with MS, and it's you'll have to have a good sense of humour if you're going to enjoy it, because it's quite an irreverent space, because I'm in charge.
Well, I love it. I think, humor is a big part of everything and not taking things so seriously. And Andy, I want to welcome, I'll get my words right. I want to thank you so much for being on this broadcast. And historically what has happened is we will get a lot of feedback and people will have a lot of questions. And so hopefully we can get you back on for a broadcast again, and we can just cover even more about your story and your journey and even more projects that you're going to be working on, because I think you are on the right track here. And I look so forward to being a part and hearing about you overcoming MS altogether, which I have no doubt that you will.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
And everybody, if you want to, again, get a hold of Andy, you can go to stokedonms.org.uk, and, you can set up those screenings for his This Way Up documentary, which is just awesome. It's phenomenal, and I highly recommend everybody checking it out. And you can connect with me also at Waking Up from MS on Facebook, or just Kelly Alderton on Facebook. I hope you guys really enjoyed this call today, and I hope it can be inspiring to you on this journey. And just remember, don't let MS stop you. If that's one thing we heard from Andy here today, don't let it stop you. Keep going, keep pushing the button, pressing forward, asking all the questions, because this is your life. And I wish you all health and healing, and God bless. Thanks, everybody.